what's human-centric artificial intelligence? What does it mean? First, I need to start probably to define what does it mean artificial intelligence. And to define artificial intelligence, probably it's the biggest challenge, because artificial intelligence is both it's science, technology, money, danger. There are many risks. And I will try to define artificial intelligence not by what, but by how. But I have very clear vision what would be the message in this talk. I know how we would like to end this talk, but I have some problem where to start this talk. It's just because it's so broad, where to start. To start from some toy example, to start from some story about Terminator, that there would be hasta la vista baby. No, I will start probably the best start for my talk. It would be a recipe how to cook salmon with tomatillos. Just take a pan, heat olive oil. Just before it smokes, add tomatillos, fry it a bit, put a little bit salt, pepper, fry it for maybe 5-7 minutes, add salmon steaks, put it to the oven, and the 15 minutes would be delicious. Now you can try it at home, and probably in the first trial, it wouldn't be exactly what you expect. You will try it again. There would be probably error. You will try it again. There would be probably again error, but you will improve. It would be better and better. So this process of trial and error, it's probably the most fundamental approach to learning. Humans, usually, we acquire all of our skills by this paradigm of learning. It would be trial and error, trial and error. So you can think about to ride a bicycle. It was trial and error. To acquire language skills, it was trial and error. To acquire some sports skills, it was trial and error. So artificial intelligence we can define, we just want to design paradigm that machines will just mimic the same approach to learning. It would be trial and error, and now it can be done independently. Now it's actually machine can do it by itself. And there one probably pessimistic perspective, there's definitely a lot of danger, because they might become someday much smarter. In many cases, they're already much smarter. Just because they have a more powerful information processing, they might have much more powerful bodies. So they might be this their dangerous, their green perspective that someday there would be a confrontation. Because a machine, it would be very rational. It might decide, okay, look at this planet. What are these ants, what they made to this planet? We probably can do it much more efficient. Let's do it as we understand what's efficiency, what's sustainability. Let's do it better. This is probably, I know, once you think about danger of artificial intelligence, that's, you can think about this grim scenario. But I will speak in this talk on the opposite scenario, on the probably the most optimistic perspective. When you think about everything will go exactly as we expect. The machines, they would be nice, they would be supportive, they would be super powerful, but they would be sort of butlers. Think about it, there wouldn't be any danger. They will do any tasks. Instead of humans, they will do it in place of humans. Think about in this approach, probably the optimistic approach, without any danger, machines, they don't try to harm, they just trying to do everything for us. Think about, they will try to make any our wish immediately. In this case, you can think about if it's what we want. If this optimistic perspective on artificial intelligence is exactly what we want in, for example, 20 years, 30 years. And what I mean if that is what we want. Think about this state of idleness. Think about if this is in our nature to be idle. If it's in our nature at the end to become homo consumer, from homo sapiens to something that doesn't need to do any work, any effort, will get anything for free. And you could ask about, okay, this idleness, if it's in our nature, if we are able to stay idle and just to get for free everything. It's probably the most convincing approach to say that actually this idleness, it's very unnatural for humans. You can think about, we have, even you can, in the sources, for example, in the book of Proverbs, you have, for example, idle hands, the devil's workshop. You can think, okay, there are many different interpretations. What's the source, and kind of what's about this idleness? If it's something that people concerned about this state of idleness for humans, if it's a real problem. And you can see that probably in the book of Proverbs, you can think about the different interpretations, but let's look at the source. And the source, it's actually in the Ethics of the Fathers. And here it's explicitly described that this state of idleness, it's a bad for us. What does it mean they're bad for us? Explicitly, in the origin, it's batala, mavia, leadei sheamum, and sheamum, mavi, leadei het. It's the source, it's the origin, without interpretation. Exactly translation from Hebrew to English, it would be idleness lead to boredom, and boredom leads to sin. So it's kind of think about people a few millennia before today, they concerned about the state of idleness. So it's probably this optimistic scenario. It's not the best option to develop artificial intelligence. So now we have two extreme cases. One is possible confrontation. Another is golden cage. It's golden cage, and we don't need to do any effort, which is probably against our nature. The question, how we can, if there are any alternative, how we can make still to stay humans and not to fall to either of these alternatives. And this is exactly where probably we need to think about human-centric AI. What does it mean, human-centric AI? We still want artificial intelligence, but probably, we want to train artificial agents for only single task, to enhance our skills. To enhance our skills, but to keep decision-making to us. Why it's important to keep decision-making to us, even to fight uncertainty, why we should be part of this process of decision-making. Think about, we believe we understand something in quantum mechanics, in robotics, but think about many decisions, they require probably much more complicated machinery. And this machinery, think about moral judgment. The most important decisions, they are not done just by, from a perspective if it's profitable or not profitable. So in this optimistic scenario, even if machines will do everything for us, first of all, it would be against our nature, and we don't know how to equip machine with this moral intuition. How to react immediately to some event when it's probably an exact solution. We cannot even explain what is in the small judgment. We see it in fabric of our society. We see that in millennia, it was probably the most important feature of our society. So this path of human-centric artificial intelligence, when we train artificial agents by trial and error, but not to solve tasks in place of us, but to augment us, to enhance our skills, that's probably at least alternative that to think about, and then we don't have this problem how to equip machine with moral judgment. Because so far we don't have this, we don't know, it's not mathematical problem, it's much broader problem. And hopefully by one day there would be a machine that will help you to cook salmon with tomatillos just much faster. It will predict, okay, now you need to mix these components, and you will take it, you will do it in, for example, in 2 iterations instead of 10. You can try this recipe. It might take some time to get a delicious dish. But with help of machine, probably you can do it faster. And I believe that it's at least worth to explore. And in Texas Tech, in my lab, in computer science department, we explore this alternative, how to train machines to this single, but probably the most important task, to augment our skills and to keep decision-making to us. And the final decision probably should be human. Thank you.